Good morning. Please be seated. Let me first start by acknowledging the presence of the Cabinet colleagues and to thank them all for being here at this, our first press conference. Thank the senior officials of the government, ambassadors, and all who have come to participate in some way. It is a pleasure, of course, for me to engage fellow citizens and residents through various media platforms as part of our strong commitment to good governance and accountability. Could we get a little help with this, please? Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. We're saying, my fellow citizens and residents, it is a pleasure for me to engage you through various media platforms as part of our strong commitment to good governance and accountability in St. Kitts and Nevis. This, of course, is our first press conference following the historic victory of the Team Unity movement. Let me say another hearty thank you to the electorate for affirming their confidence in my leadership and in my colleagues. The general elections were an historic endorsement of Team Unity. Some important statistics bear repeating. Team Unity now holds 7 out of 11 seats. Team Unity received a swing in its favor of around 6% in the popular votes. We won constituency number 3, a seat that Labour had hitherto never lost, with a swing to Akila Byron Nisbet of 6.6%. This victory for many was as sweet as it was historic. We won constituency number 2, which was held by Labour 25 years previous to now, with a swing of 5.1% to John L. Powell. The Concerned Citizens Movement holds 3 of the seats in Nevis, with Alexis Jeffers taking Nevis 11. I am advised that this is the first time that seat would have been won by the CCM. In my constituency number 7, I led my opponent by 1,263 votes, the largest absolute margin in the general elections. In constituency number 6, there was a swing against Denzel Douglas of around 14%. Labour managed about 10,455 votes, compared to Team Unity's 15,298 votes. Since 2010, the Labour Party has lost nearly 2,000 voters. This general election is Labour's worst percentage of vote on record. The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, which contested 8 seats, won 2 of those seats. Of a voter base of 33,915 voters, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party received just under 30% of the valid vote cast in those 8 constituencies. Since the general elections, His Excellency the Governor-General has appointed 11 members to the Federal Cabinet. 9 are elected members and 2 are senators. The executive is already at work delivering on that promise of a stronger and safer future. New ministers are going through the necessary orientation with their predecessors and permanent secretaries, and of course, the Cabinet Secretary. The transition is moving apace. Given the larger number of cabinet ministers this term, additional space has been sought to locate 2 ministers to new location, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton and Senator Wendy Phipps. Minister Hamilton will be located on Princess Street, Barstow, on the top floor of the Richard Keynes building. Arrangements for Minister Wendy Phipps will be finalized on or before Monday. Both Ministers Jeffers and Evelyn are located at government headquarters, and Minister Byron Nisbet is located at Bladen Commercial Development. Minister Powell is in the Cable Building on Keon Street. All other ministers remain in the previous locations. The Governor General has issued a proclamation for the first sitting of Parliament to be held on Wednesday, the 8th July. At this historic sitting, the throne speech will be read by our esteemed Governor General. Given the need for social distancing and the special nature of this Parliament, a larger and more appropriate setting will be used for the sitting at which elected members will be sworn in as members of the National Assembly, and the Speaker and Deputy Speaker will also be elected. More details will be issued as we get closer to this event. The Clerk of the National Assembly, Mrs. Sonia Body Thompson, and her team are preparing for this historic event. The inaugural sitting of our Parliament outside of the traditional venue highlights the need for the National Assembly to have its own home. The new Speaker of the National Assembly will be mandated to coordinate this effort from site selection, designs, drawings, budgeting, and building to actualize this new home for our Parliament. The National Assembly is at the fulcrum of the Westminster model of democracy. Since 2015, our Team Unity administration has done much to advance the Parliament's role in nation building. We have met more often than in the past. We have passed legislation that ensures that a motion of no confidence is heard within a 21-day period. By so doing, we have prevented the past travesty of justice, when the bygone regime held a motion of no confidence in abeyance for a long period of 26 months, reducing the Parliament, in the words of one jurist, to an instrument in futility. The Public Accounts Committee has also been strengthened by my administration, giving parliamentarians greater scrutiny over the financial affairs of the government. This Parliament, of course, will complete the review of the statutory rules and orders of the National Assembly, which was started last term, in order to ensure their relevance to the evolution of time. The strengthening of the Parliament, improvements in its efficiency and efficacy, will contribute to the safer and stronger future for a democratic St. Kitts and Nevis. During the campaign for our re-election, we placed people at the heart of our agenda. The safer and stronger future is for all of us. It is what each of us wants for ourselves, our families, our communities, and certainly for our beloved country. 5 years under my leadership, much was accomplished for all Nevisians and Kittitians and residents here. An unprecedented season of peace, low crime, and in particular, significant reduction in gun-related homicides has been realized. A record number of persons were put to work. The economy grew every year under my watch. These were not chance events, and we cannot gamble with our future, or our people will suffer. My government has always been generous with our employees. In terms of fiscal surpluses, for example, we have shared some of it with our federal employees and those of the Nevis Island Assembly or administration, with 4 consecutive double salaries, a record in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis and indeed the wider region and the world. The Financial Secretary has advised that, in particular as it relates to the Nevis Island administration, $29.4 million were made available for the payment of double salaries to employees of the NIA and public sector entities under consideration there. Having listened to our employees, we propose to enhance their job security during this term. My government will be a model employer, and in this regard, we are working to provide the best possible conditions of work to all government employees. We expect all government employees to be punctual, diligent, loyal, efficient, and effective in the delivery of services to the public. We intend to hold every employee to that standard. We are committed to regularize 2 major categories of public sector employees who were victimized by the past regime. These are our government auxiliary employees, referred to as GAEs, and our step workers. The government auxiliary employees, formerly referred to as non-establishment workers, were promised by the former regime in 2007 that their employment status would be enhanced. That enhancement would have allowed such workers to receive a pension on completion of 15 years of service. Regrettably, the former regime stubbornly refused to honor this commitment regarding entitlement to pension. My administration in the last campaign pledged to correct this injustice in 2020. I am therefore pleased to provide an update on this significant progress that we have made so far. Since the general elections of June 5, 2020, we have set up a STEP Regularization and Pensions Reform Committee to advance our policy regarding STEP workers and the government auxiliary employees more broadly put. The committee comprises several dedicated public servants. It is chaired by Mr. Levi Bradshaw, our Accountant General, and it comprises the following other officers: Mrs. Carla Pike, a forensic auditor and our Director of Audit; Ms. Sheridane Warner, the Chief Personnel Officer; Ms. Sharon Ratton, Mr. Ron Collins, and Mr. Andrew Skerritt, Permanent Secretaries; Mrs. Versily Francis, Representative of the Ministry of Finance, and Ms. Nishama Ratton-Mack, Representative of the Legal Department, and Mr. Emil Green, who is the Director of the Skills Training Empowerment Program, better known as STEP. I was able to meet with the committee earlier this week. I was impressed by the high level of engagement, their appreciation of the urgency of action, and their commitment to carry out this exercise to the best of their abilities. I want, therefore, to thank the civil servants for responding so positively to this opportunity to serve on an important policy matter. I am reminded that we are all we have to advance the cause of nation building in this, our beloved Federation. The committee has made the following recommendations, which I share some of these. 1, that the regularization of the employees on the STEP should be undertaken on a phased basis, commencing with the 36 staff assigned to the Secretariat and the 1,849 workers assigned to the public sector both on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. The regularization in this context would entail a change of status for all STEP employees, as they would now enter the public service as government auxiliary workers or employees with a new hire date of 1st July 2020. The second important recommendation calls for the reviewing of the financing arrangement of the STEP to ensure compliance with Finance Administration Act 2007, including the funding of wages assigned to the public sector consolidated fund. 3, the establishment of the Government Auxiliary Employees Commission to handle matters of recruitment, appointment, the exercise of disciplinary control, suspension and dismissal, as set forth by the Government Auxiliary Employees Act 2012 at sections 4, 5, and 6. 4, the preparation and ratification of the regulations for the Government Auxiliary Employees Act of 2012. Since 2012, no work had been done in terms of the regulations, and we have advanced a subcommittee headed by Ms. Sharon, Mrs. Mack, to lead this particular effort at getting the regulations as soon as, in collaboration with the Department of Legal Affairs. It is recommended that there be a temporary freezing of new entrants into both the STEP and the public sector to facilitate the completion of the financial impact and projections by the Ministry of Finance. 6, a re-registration exercise of businesses and workers assigned to the private sector will be conducted. The STEP workers are in public sector and they are in private sector. And it is recommended that those in the private sector, there has to be an updating of their record and their status. And so that exercise will start. Of course, we have less control over those who are attached to private businesses than we have with respect to those who are working in various government departments and statutory entities. There will be the conducting of a public awareness initiative geared towards sensitizing the STEP employees, and I'm advised by Mr. Emil Green that this has already started, and the heads of departments across the government regarding the transition process and other human resource policies and benefits of the government using a range of media platforms. The provision of the government health insurance coverage to all STEP workers, commencing with those assigned in the public sector. These are the principal recommendations that have come forward this week by the committee that has been working so very hard to assist us in actualizing and fulfilling the commitment to STEP workers in particular and the broader group of government auxiliary employees. I want to reiterate that by September 2020, all matters with respect to the government auxiliary employees will be properly put in place. And that is why at Wednesday's meeting, in order to advance this work, we establish, or the chairman established, a number of subcommittees that will work diligently, perhaps every day and certainly every week, to ensure that time is not lost. In addition to this major shift being contemplated in the status of our government auxiliary employees, it should be recalled that in about 2018, my government restored the honorarium of about 2% of the gross wages that was paid to the GAE or non-establishment workers. This sum was denied them since about 2012. and we took the decision until the government fulfilled the commitment made and legislated in 2012, we would restore that honorarium. We kept our word. Speaking about the government employees, I now turn attention to our police at the Special Service Unit. And I see ACP Adams here. He doesn't know what I will say. The SSU will be relocated to a new beautiful headquarters at Fort Lenz Barstow, and the date Mr. Brandy advised should be before Independence 2020. I want to use this opportunity to commend the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hilroy Brandy, and his High Command for outstanding work over the past few months in very stressful circumstances, occasioned by the following: the pandemic, the enforcement of the state of emergency, and of course, general elections. And equally as I commend the police, I want to extend those same commendation to the entire security apparatus, including the Defense Force, the Customs, the Fire, the prisons, because all of them work very hard, really, to keep us safe. These general elections of the 5th June 2020 were the most orderly and the best managed to date, a stark contrast to those of February 16, 2015, when there was tension and confusion over the voters' list. In 2015, shots were fired in the vicinity of the police station in Connery. Fast forward now to 2020. The police reported no major incident. All was peaceful. For this we give God the glory. We note that the independent overseas election observers concluded that the 2020 general elections were free and fair, and that they reflected the will of the electorate of St. Kitts and Nevis. We thank the independent CARICOM expert team of election observers for their work and for coming to St. Kitts and Nevis even in the midst of a pandemic. We thank, of course, our own independent local general election observers, drawn from the NGO Coalition, for their work and their contribution to our democracy. This independent local team has also concluded that our general elections were free and fair and free from fear. In sum, the general will of the people was reflected in the outcome of the polls. My greatest thanks go to our people for their discipline and wisdom and for choosing our Team Unity candidates. We are now a government in service to all the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The hard work to secure the safer and stronger future continues, and I call on all of us to be and do the best we can today. Our security forces will be called upon to go beyond the call of duty again with the upcoming work during our independence celebrations and indeed the hurricane season. In this regard, I should remind the public that the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet chairs the 2020 Independence Celebrations Committee, and the Honorable Byron Nisbet will be ably supported by our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards. The Honorable Vincent Byron Jr. continues to serve on the Mitigation Council, ably supported by the Honorable Wendy Phipps. It is remarkable that in less than 1 month of our second term, our government has been able to make substantial progress on 2 very important manifesto commitments. It shows that our leadership is focused on the people. I lead a people-centered government. Additionally, it shows that leadership matters. The country has a leader and cabinet that our people can trust. Our word is our bond. By keeping our eyes on the ball, over 4,000 government employees, 3,000 plus on the STEP program, and over 1,000 in the existing pool of UAE workers are being made better off. Better security of tenure, especially for our STEP workers, who can now more easily access loans, visas, etc. Better benefits, including pension entitlement by government auxiliary employees. Yes, the safer and stronger future our Team Unity administration promise is being delivered. In our national dialogue and the very popular Leadership Matters program, the Financial Secretary and I discussed the critical role envisaged for our CBI program in our agenda for the safer and stronger future, and in particular our efforts to contain and reverse the recession and put the country back on a path of growth and development. We anticipate that there will be some new interventions with respect to the CBI program, and in that regard, I can report that we have taken a decision to make some revision to the contribution program as it relates to a family of 4 persons. The contribution, which is now at US $195,000 for a family of up to 4, will be reduced to $150,000 as part of a limited time offering. And then we looked at on Monday the need to provide some assistance to the real estate option, and in that regard, part of the recommendation was for the stamp duty payable to be reduced to about 2.5% over the same 6-month period, a limited time offerings with respect to the 2 options. These initiatives, we hope, will stimulate market demand, enhance our competitiveness in a market challenged by wealth loss occasioned by the dislocation of the global economy by COVID-19 and the greater uncertainty and risk which hovers over the entire world as a consequence of COVID-19. We stress that these are time-bound offers. These resources will help us to continue our safety net programs, reduce poverty and indigence, and support the build-out of our economic infrastructure and Nevis and St. Kitts, while enhancing our fiscal and economic resilience. On Leadership Matters 2, a caller gave a reminder that the cannabis marijuana industry needs building out. Truth is, we agree. And I assure the public that this is part of our plan to create new jobs, higher income streams for our people, and expand our pathways for growth and development, particularly at this difficult economic time around the world. A medicinal cannabis authority will therefore be created in due course, and its job will be largely to manage and regulate the industry. The government will ensure that priority is given to locals in the development of this industry. The Medicinal Cannabis Authority will be responsible for issuing various classes of licenses relating to cultivation, processing, transportation, dispensing, manufacturing, and export, etc. It is our wish that St. Kitts and Nevis can become the hub for foundational science of cannabinoid medicine internationally, and that we can take advantage, among other things, of the primate research facilities on island that have international repute, to expand our contribution to global public health products and services. We will appoint a marijuana czar in due course to champion this industry, as we realize, as the caller reminded us, that time is of essence. I want to pause at this time and to allow for any questions. Thank you. I gather that I said the Team Unity holds 7 out of 11 seats. I should say that we held 7 out of 11 seats and that we now hold 9 out of 11 seats. So the past was 7 out of 11, force of habit, and the present situation is that we now hold 9 out of 11 seats. I want to thank those who are listening so intently to give me this quick opportunity for correction. Thank you.